Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier radio networks, including 160 of the best stations in the U.S. and XM Channel 166 on Saturday, August 20th, 2011. This is episode 797. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Gazelle, the easy way to sell or recycle to used gadgets lying around your home or office. Don't just sell it, Gazelle it. For a 5% bonus payment for your used gadgets, go to gazelle.com and on checkout, use the offer code TWiT. Well, a good day to you. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk tech. Computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, all that jazz. You might hear a little noise behind me here. We're having an open house in the brand new studios. In fact, our official grand opening party is tomorrow night in the new Tech Guy Labs. We call it the TWiT Brick House Studios because this is the 10,000 square foot studio facility that we do all the podcasts from, including the Tech Guy Show and all the other tech podcasts I do all week long. And one of the podcasts we do is called Ham Nation, and it's for ham radio, which is, you know, I think I have to admit, I had a prejudice. I thought, well, who needs ham radio? Now, I used to when I was a kid. It wasn't a ham, but I loved what they call DXing, tuning around on shortwave radios, listening to radio stations from Russia and all around the world, the BBC, and I always loved doing that. There was something magical about using a radio and hearing a faraway, a distant station, even if the signal's not great. And then, you know what, the internet arrived, and we were able to use Skype and email and you know, even our cell phones now. We carry around with us phones that can call anywhere in the world, anytime, with great fidelity. I thought, well, who needs ham? Who needs radio? It's all the internet now. And so I think a lot of people kind of said, well, that must be a hobby on its way out. Well, it's not. Boy, is it not. We have, how many hams in the U.S.? I think something like 600,000. I'm not sure. And I think half of them are here in the studio today because of that show. We built a beautiful ham shack. You know, one of the reasons we built it is it's for emergency services as well. You put batteries and generators on that thing, and when all the other communications, including the internet and Skype, go down, as in Katrina, as in the tornadoes in Alabama, as in the earthquakes here on the west coast of California, when everything else is down, the ham radios are there, and hams jump in and really have been vital to emergency services for many decades. So it's kind of a little emergency services station, but it's also a really fun station in the corner there, where we've got the ham gear, but also, this is fun. And I have to thank Mike DeRoe for this. An amazing 1961 AM radio transmitter, a broadcast transmitter from Collins that Mike DeRoe restored almost as someone would restore a vintage automobile. Well, and almost exactly. Repaint, brushed up the chrome, kept the original lettering. This thing looks better probably than it did when it came from the factory in 1961. It was delivered to a tiny station in Jefferson City, Iowa, WDLS, and used there for more than 40 years for AM broadcasting. And Mike, who goes around, you know, he sells things to radio stations, equipment and so forth, collects these things as the stations take them out of service. He says, what do you want that? And they're like 1,000 pounds. And I know that because I helped move it in this week. So he gets it. He fixes it all up. He retunes it so that it can be used for ham broadcasting on the 75-meter band. And there it is, fired up with the tubes a-glowing in our tribute to AM radio. Also got, thanks to David Jennings, a beautiful Collins mixer that reminds me of my earliest days of radio in the 70s, where there were still a few hanging around. I just need some old turntables, and I could be Wolfman Jack. Anyway, we're having a little party. I just wanted to explain what the noise was going on in the background. It's just, hams like to talk. Who'd have thunk it? And then I'll be continuing on through the rest of the show. But I'm here in my little studio, broadcasting through a more well, actually, it isn't really a more modern method, is it? It's kind of pretty much the way it's always been, which I love. There's something marvelous about radio. It's such an intimate medium. It's such a direct connection. And I love it. I've been doing it most of my life. And for the last 20 years about technology and computers. Wow, was this a week? I don't even know where to start. This is usually August is a slow season for news and not for tech news this week. We started the week with a shocker. Google, which has never spent more than a couple of $1 billion on anything. I think their biggest purchase was DoubleClick. It was around $3 billion. Spent $12.5 billion on Monday. Boom, like that. Now they got 30 in the bank, 30 billion in the bank, so I guess they could afford it. But it's like 2 years revenue, 2 years profits anyway for Google on Motorola Mobility, the cell phone company. And the reaction to this has been fascinating because, of course, on the one hand, Motorola Mobility has been a very challenging business. Motorola lost, I think, $50 million last quarter. Remember, they went out of the cell phone business briefly. They came back with Android phones, those droids. And they've been selling pretty well, and they've done a pretty good job, but they're still not a profitable company. So why would Google spend $12.5 billion in a company that's losing money? Well, it's for one thing, patents. And it's really, in a way, I think, a negative commentary on the patent system in this country today. It really comes down to something called software patents. You know, patents make sense if you've got a process. If you figured out a new way to make nails, you'd patent that, and for 16 years or whatever it was, you'd get exclusive rights to use that. But in the patent process, you'd tell everybody how you did it. And when that patent expires, and others could make nails that way. It was Thomas Jefferson was the first patent commissioner. And he said, this is a way, and it was a brilliant idea, this is a way people can protect their inventions and yet still reap the benefit of it for a period of time, and yet still get those inventions out into the public domain, which I think is really great. And it makes a lot of sense when you're talking about a physical process, how to make something. It starts to break down with software, and what's happened in the last decade or so is that people have started making software patents on stuff they don't even do, just like an idea. I have an idea that you could search the internet using a computer. You don't have to demonstrate it. You don't have to write any software. You just have to say, I have this idea. You get the patent, and then, and this is why they do it, anybody does anything like that, you go to them and say, I'm going to sue you. You need to license my invention. And it's really a broken system. It's really been a drag on innovation in this country. And look at the cost. Google would not have bought Motorola, I'm convinced, if they hadn't been threatened by Microsoft, Apple, and others with patent lawsuits. Google only had 1,000 patents. They're a young company. They hadn't patented much. They needed patents. They bid very ferociously, up to $3.14159 billion on the patents from the Nortel company, these telephone patents that would have been very useful. Lost that when Microsoft and Apple, not exactly hereditary friends, decided to go in together and buy these patents, steal them away from Google so they could go after Google. Why? Well, Apple makes the iPhone, Microsoft makes Windows Phone 7, and they don't like it that Google, with its Android operating system, has half the cell phone, smartphone space, and is giving it away. A lot of people think that Google's dumping Android, giving it away for free to get market share. Something like Microsoft did with Internet Explorer to put Netscape out of business, if you remember. So they're going after Google, not because they want the license fees for these patents, because they don't want Android to succeed. It's very simple. The way you fight this is not by going to court over these suits, but something called, in the patent world, reminiscent of the nuclear era, the Cold War era, called mutually assured destruction. You nuke me, we'll nuke you. You sue me, I have patents, and I'll sue you back. Might not be the same patent. It might not even be a telephony patent. Might not even be a cell phone patent. Might be something completely different, but I promise you'll be seeing me in court. And that's what keeps people from suing each other over these silly software patents. So by buying Motorola for $12.5 billion, they got more than 10,000 patents. Maybe as many as 24,000 patents. And now they're safe. But what a lot of money to spend for nothing. No innovation, we get no benefit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's go to the phones right after this. Hey, this show, we're going to get to Dick and do the Daily Gizmos in a little bit. I do want to remind you that we now have sponsors on the podcast, and thank you for supporting our sponsors. It makes it possible for us to do this podcast. And in this case, it's Gazelle. You know about Gazelle, I'm sure, right? That's the place you can take your old gadgets. I got a drawer full of gadgets. Some of you have a closet full of gadgets. Some of you have an entire garage full of old, unused gadgets. There could be thousands of dollars of gold sitting in that garage. And Gazelle's the way to mine that gold. Just visit Gazelle.com. Gazelle.com. And the way it works is pretty cool. I'll pull it up and I can show you. You just enter in whatever it is that you're trying to sell, and they'll give you a price. They even give you a price history, which is kind of cool. So you know how much that thing has been worth in months past. What do we want to sell? Oh, I have this Samsung Focus Windows phone. Yeah, there it is. I want to get the new one. That happens all the time. Then they'll ask you a couple of questions. You know what? This phone's in pretty good shape. It's got fingerprints, but no noticeable flaws. It looks like it's never been used. I have all the boxes. I always save all that stuff. But even if you don't, you don't have to. You'll just get more money if you have all that stuff. Now it's gonna. Wow, this phone is worth $117. I'm holding $117 in my hand. Now this is the deal. I can put this in a box and find some other stuff and pile it in, put more and more in there. Gazelle pays the shipping. They give you a mailing label. You send it to them. I don't even have to pull the data off. When the data experts look at it to make sure it is in good shape and I've got all the stuff I said I'd have, they'll also pull all the data off of it. They erase it all for you, so it's automatic. And then they'll send you money. You can get a PayPal money. You can get a check. They'll give you Amazon or Walmart gift cards. In fact, if you get the Amazon gift card, I would do that if you use Amazon because you get a 5% bonus on it. Or, I like this too, you can ask Gazelle to donate the value of your gadget to a charity of your choice. You can even, if you're a nonprofit or you're doing a bake sale, you're a school, you're a football team, you can also raise money that way too. You can do a gadget drive on Gazelle. They'll even give you a dedicated page. And then Kindles and Nooks going for $100. iPhones, $20 to $200. MacBooks about $600. I mean, the prices are great. Not every gadget, though, has a market value. What if this didn't work? Well, they'll still take it and they'll recycle it responsibly, which I really like. There won't no landfill, no shipping offshore. They take care of it in an EPA-certified green recycler here in the U.S. I love Gazelle, and I think you'll love it too, and I think you'll be happy when you get that check from Gazelle. Go to Gazelle.com, see how much your old stuff is worth. And by the way, for an extra 5% on your Gazelle gadget, use the bonus code TechGuy, and you will get an additional 5% on checkout, and that's a pretty good deal. Gazelle, Gazelle.com. When you go to Gazelle, use the offer code TWiT, TWiT, on checkout. You get an additional 5%. Don't sell it, Gazelle it. Offer code TWIT. All right, we're going to get back to the radio show here in just a second. Thank you for supporting us, Gazelle. We appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're having a party here at the Tech Guy Labs. Open house. Our official grand opening. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number if you've got a question, a comment, you want to talk about tech. 888-827-5536. From West L.A., Paul's our first caller of the day. Hi, Paul. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, Paul.
Congrats on your new location. Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy.
Watching it online, it looks great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, live.twit.tv if you want to see pictures, folks.
Great. Hey, I got a question. We have an ultrasound machine, and it has an S-video out. And what we want to do is bring it into a PC so we can capture the video and use the hard drive.
What are you doing, home pregnancy testing? What are you when you say we, are you a doctor, a hospital?
Well, it's kind of a, you know, it is a medical grade.
It's just for fun, huh?
Right, exactly.
Come over here. I'd like to look inside your tummy.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so S-Video is, of course, a good video standard. Not the most recent, the most modern, but I'm sure that those ultrasounds don't do high def yet anyway.
Right. And what we're trying to, we did try getting an S-Video to USB. It didn't.
No. What you really want is it's not a laptop, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, so you need to get a video capture card.
Okay.
And many video cards themselves will have S-Video and the ATIs. Remember they used to make those all-in-wonder cards? They'd have TV tuners built in. You just need a video card, either a second additional card to your existing video card or a video card that's your main video card but has S-Video in. And then you just plug the S-Video into it, and it will come with software that allows you to both see the ultrasound and record it.
Okay. Now, is it usually a PCI slot, or do you have to worry about what?
Usually, it depends on, you can get either. Most common PC video cards now are Express Bus.
Okay.
And if you have a modern motherboard or modern PC, you'll have an Express Bus slot. That's your video card slot. If that's already occupied by your video card and you don't want to replace that, then you just get a PCI video tuner card.
Okay. Now, can you recommend any free video capturing software that you like, or something in low cost besides the one that might come with the all-in-wonder card or that type of thing?
I would see what it does for you to start, and it probably is all you need.
Okay.
If it is almost any card, if it's a standard card, you'll also be able to use any video editing software, even Windows Movie Maker, which comes with Windows, free.
Okay.
To capture it, because the driver, the software that comes with the card, will make that video appear as a WMD device, not weapons of mass destruction, but Windows Media Device,
Okay.
and then it'll be a weapon of mass ultrasound, and you'll be able to capture it, you'll be able to edit it, it'll be great. Now, one thing to note, and that I didn't know this, but we have smart people in the chat room. They do say that some ultrasound machines don't output standard NTSC video. And if that's the case, I don't know what, I think if you're getting S-Video out, it should be standard.
Yeah, we can take the signal to a TV.
Okay, if you can watch it on TV, you're fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
You're welcome. Anytime, Paul. Now, isn't that funny? That's an interesting use of technology. I have an ultrasound machine. Would it be fun to go around and say, hey, anybody want to see what's in their head? I don't know. Can you use those on heads, on brains? I hope not. Palms, you just find out it's hollow. My goodness. Leo, it's inside. There's nothing. Layla's on the line from Palm Springs, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Layla.
Oh, hi, Leo. I was simply calling to find out what your latest insights are on when the new iPhone is supposed to be coming out.
Oh, it's funny. We had a little debate on one of the shows this week. Some pundits, particularly I think it was Mac Rumors, Arthur Kim at Mac Rumors, said September 7th. Apparently they thought, or they said, Apple was going to have an event September 7th. They do typically have an iPod announcement event. And that event, their sources told them was coming September 7th. But then I talked to Kara Swisher of All Things Digital, which is very respected. And she said, no, they're wrong. Our sources are better. And they say October. But there is no doubt in my mind, no doubt at all, that it will be September or October. I'm thinking it's more likely October, to be honest.
Yes, and they will still stick with calling it like the 5G.
Oh, we don't know. One rumor said 4S. Remember, when the first iPhone was the iPhone, then there was the iPhone 3G, because it had 3G data. The first iPhone didn't even have 3G. It was Edge. Then with the 3G, then the 3GS. Even know what that means. Then the 4. So it could be the 5 or it could be the 4S. We don't know. But that doesn't matter. It will be, I'll tell you, I can even tell you probably what's going to be in that iPhone. Don't expect big differences. People who have seen they claim pictures of it say it will look a little bit more like the Samsung Galaxy S phones. In other words, a little thinner, more black, maybe slightly curved on the glass. The resolution will not be better. They've already got about as high as you can go with that Retina display. There will be the new chip in it, which is in the iPad, the A5 chip. It's a dual-core chip, so it's faster. I think, and most seem to agree, there will be a better camera. Now, I like the iPhone 4 camera. It's amazing, but it's 5 megapixels, and the rumors are, and this was actually started by the CEO of, I can't remember, was it Intel? The company that makes these cameras saying, oh, yes, Apple's next phone will have our best camera, which is an 8 megapixel. So that's the next, was it Samsung? Who makes, I think Samsung makes the cameras for the iPhone. Anyway. One of the reasons I believe it will look like the Galaxy S is because Apple's been suing Samsung, saying you stole our designs, and I would, and then Samsung's countersuit was, well, okay, let's see the next. We want to see the next iPhone and the iPad. Let's see what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that's because they expected it would look just like their phone.
Yeah.
So, but it's, you know, it will be improved, but not substantially improved. For instance, I think one thing missing that a lot of people would like is 4G, the next generation wireless. Both AT&T and Verizon have 4G networks, but I don't think Apple's going to do that. I think they're waiting a little bit.
And do you know that if it will still be in black, available in black and white, or still just coming out with the black first and white later?
I think they'll be pink, maroon, magenta, taupe. No, I don't know what colors it'll be. They figured out white. So I guess it, yeah. And I think the white iPhone is beautiful. My daughter bought one and we got her a blue case and it just looks so pretty. It doesn't look like an iPhone 4. It looks gorgeous. So she lost it. So, and I told her, well, you're not getting another one till the next one comes out. So I hope they have white.
Yes. Okay. Well, great.
Hey, thanks for the call. Hey, I'll tell you another thing. We now are hearing some strong rumors about the next iPad. And a number of people were saying, see, this is where you can't believe, Apple doesn't talk, right? Apple's not saying anything. I underscore the word rumors. They're making stuff up as they go along. These, you know, Mac websites and bloggers and people like that Leo guy on the radio, they're just making stuff up as they go along. But the rumor was that there'd be an iPad this fall. And now they're saying, oh, no, that's not going to happen. But they do have a rumor, take it or leave it, that in the spring there'll be another iPad with a Retina display with a double resolution. Now that I would buy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo, that's 888-827-5536. You don't have to remember that. Just remember the website, techguylabs.com. And the phone number is there, the show notes are there, all the information you need is there. TechGuyLabs.com, including a link to our live video. And I'm just now hearing, I didn't know this, that our chat room's telling me, you'll find a link to the chat room there too, TechGuyLabs.com, that one of our partners, we do a live video stream of the radio show, as a lot of radio shows do now. It seems to be a common thing. And we use Justin TV, BitGravity, and Ustream. Those are the three big streaming companies. Ustream, we've just changed what we're feeding to Ustream, Ustream.tv, and they are doing an adaptive thing. So if you have a lot of bandwidth, go to live.twit.tv or just go to my website, techguylabs.com, and click on the Ustream high-quality link. And if you've got enough bandwidth, you're going to get a very good picture. Now, I think they're sending as much as 1.5 megabits of data down the pipe. That's a lot. You have to have a lot of bandwidth, and if you don't, the Ustream player will step you down to a lower quality. But I'm hearing good reports, actually, from folks who say they're getting much better video quality. So thank you, Ustream. That's great. Other big story of the weekend, you know, I got caught up in the Motorola Google thing and ran out of time, but briefly, I think maybe the biggest story of the summer, I thought it was going to be Motorola and Google. Now it's HP getting out of the PC business. HP, one of the top computer manufacturers in the world, saying, we're not making enough money making computers. We're going to get out of the hardware business. And along with that, they've announced, sad to say, that they're going to stop production of their WebOS devices. That's the phones based on WebOS. And the touchpad, which was selling for $500, it's now $99.99. At that price, I think if you want a tablet and you want to try a tablet, understanding that when you buy this touchpad, there's not going to be any software for it, there's not going to be upgrades for it, it is what it is. At $99, that's pretty tempting. I think you have to get it through the HP store. It's the 16 gigabyte model. If you want the 32 gigabyte model, it's $50 more. Walmart was listing at that price, but now they say they're out of stock. Now, you might be able to get it at a Walmart store. Sellouts almost everywhere else. I mean, it's hard to keep it in stock at that price because people will buy it. I mean, $99, you'll buy it even if you know that there'll never be any software or anything else for it. So I'm looking on the LA Times blog, and they have a list there of what the availability is. And a lot of these guys are sold out. Target sold out. Sam's Club sold out. Office Depot sold out. Micro Center sold out. Fry's sold out. And I'm sure this will get updated from time to time. But $99, I guess a lot of people, even though it's out of date, 3 months old and already out of date, never will be updated. Now, HP hasn't said exactly what they're going to do. A couple of things they could do. They could spin off this division, this personal computer division, to a separate company. Just make it another company. Take it off their bottom line. Let that company sink or swim on its own. They could sell it to somebody. That's what IBM did. IBM sold its and did very similar things. Sold its entire PC business to China, to the Lenovo company, and just got out of the PC business. It's been good for IBM. They weren't making money on these PCs. Nobody makes much money on PCs. And they focused on what they call services, not selling hardware, but selling software and support. And it's been very good for IBM. I think HP hopes the same thing. They could just close it. They could just close the doors. They intimate that they're not going to do that, that WebOS, the tablet, and their PC division will somehow survive, but it's unknown how. HP says they've sold 25,000, but they still have 250,000 touchpads. So somewhere you'll probably be able to get one for $99 if you really want one. I'll be honest, I'm not running out. I'm not going out buying one. It really is a statement. Now, you got to wonder if HP, then I think at the time the #1 PC manufacturer, certainly the #1 or 2 PC manufacturer in the U.S., if they couldn't make money, can Dell? Can Toshiba? Can Sony? Can Lenovo? We've talked about this before. The price pressure on personal computers is so intense that these companies aren't making money. They're making $50, $100 on a computer. Maybe not even that. People are buying computers for $300. What's the profit margin? $10? And then the problem is if you only make $10, you can't do any support because that's going to cost you $25 a call. One phone call, one support call, and you're already negative. You already lost money on that computer. So you can see why HP wanted to get out of the PC business. It is and it's our fault, folks. You know, we wanted a $300 computer. We wanted a $400 computer. We demanded it. And when they made them, we bought it. And then once one company did it, Asus started it, everybody had to do it. And here's the first casualty. HP. Actually, probably not the first casualty. There have been quite a few before that. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the website. As I said, the website is Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo is a phone number. The website is techguylabs.com. Charlene is our next caller on the line from Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Charlene. Leo Laporte here.
Hi, Leo.
Hello.
I have a sister who's 72 years old, who's terrified of computers, used them at work, but never liked them, and now realizes she needs to come up to the 21st century now that she's not working, and she needs to get herself a computer. And she's, of course, looking at a laptop. And I know when I go back and visit her in October, she's going to want me to go out with her and go shopping with her. And my personal preference would be a Mac Air. Or
a MacBook Air. That's exactly what I'd recommend. It's thin, it's light, it's secure, it's easy.
I don't know if she's going to want to
go that price range.
Well, and again, that gets right back to what I was just saying. Apple is doing fine. In fact, I read that Apple makes the amount of profit Apple makes on one computer, HP had to sell 7 computers to make that much money. That's why HP's not in the PC business, and Apple is absolutely going to stay in the PC business.
So I'm looking online, and I'm thinking maybe a Toshiba satellite or a Lenovo. I'm definitely not going to tell her go HP for 2 reasons. One,
I wouldn't buy an HP laptop at this time. You might be able to get
a really bad experience.
They're terrible.
With a HP
Pavilion.
desktop.
Yeah.
The hard drive died after 3 months.
Yeah. Well, now, and you can't blame, by the way, you can't blame HP for that, no matter who you get a computer from. The hard drives, you can have, defects or hard drives die. That's going to happen. Really, the test is what they do when you come to them and say the hard drive died. Do they immediately replace it and fix it? Apple does. Hold on a second, Charlene. We'll talk some more. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're helping Charlene and her cheapskate friend buy a new computer. A laptop, though, right?
Yeah, I think she wants a laptop.
What's her budget? What's her budget?
I would say probably under $600.
Yeah.
So I'm
See, this is exactly it. The cheapest Apple laptop. They have one for education, but the cheapest one available to the rest of the world is $999. That's the MacBook Air, and it's a little underpowered. It's only 2 gigs of RAM and all that. But it's, I think for most, I bet you anything for your sister, this would be perfect. She would love it.
Right.
In fact, I put Windows on my MacBook Air. I boot into Windows or I boot into Mac. I can run Windows within Mac, so I feel like this is the best of all worlds. But yeah, you're going to pay $400 more for it.
Right. I have an iMac and a used MacBook Pro, so...
I'm preaching to the choir.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I put ESET on both
Thank you.
computers, and I just love it. I had Norton on the iMac, and oh my gosh, it slowed it down so much.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful. Thank you for the advice.
These ESET guys, they make cybersecurity for the Mac, which, for a long time, I really don't think you needed anything. You may still not. There are only a handful of viruses, but they're starting to be out there, and I don't think it's a bad idea to be proactive about it.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I tell you, you pay the $40 now. You'll be very, if you don't, and you get a bug, you get Mac Defender or something, you're going to really deeply regret it. So it's better just to be a little proactive. So good on you. If for her, I'll tell you what I would recommend. I would recommend a Lenovo. Is it going to be business or home?
It's going to be home. It's mainly, I think it's going to be used for internet surfing, emailing, and I bought her a small point-and-shoot camera a couple of years ago, so she may be doing some more photography and, and uploading photos and maybe some in Photoshop elements.
You know that she'll come back to you in a couple of years and say, you were right, I want to get a Mac now. But until then, I think the Acers are actually pretty nice and pretty affordable. Acer makes some nice laptops. The truth is, Windows 7 is a great operating system. It's very much similar to the Mac. It's much more secure now. Windows is not the danger zone it once was, and she'll have a good time doing it. People are telling me, you can, because Apple updated their MacBooks, get a 2010 MacBook Air on the Apple site, on their refurbished site, their outlet store, or used from somebody, probably in that price range.
Right.
But if she's really set on Windows, and a lot of people are, and I certainly don't want to say don't get Windows. It's fine. I'm a big fan of Dell. I'm a big fan of Lenovo's. Those are the two that I buy. But they tend to be a little more businessy. Dell has some nice, colorful home computers. I would certainly go to the Dell site with her and browse around. She might want to look at the Acers. I think they're quite good. And, there's always, if you go to the big box stores or, Walmart, there's always some pretty good deals on decent computers. The truth about Windows computers is it's very much a commodity market. And so there's not that much to distinguish one from the other. Mostly, as I was saying, in fact, they all, some of them will break and all that. But mostly the difference is how they respond if there's a problem. So, the fact that your hard drive died on your first HP doesn't necessarily, I mean, they're going to die on any company's computers in a certain percentage of them will die. It's how well HP responded. Did they get it? Did they get you a new one quickly? Did they fix it? They say, oh, we're sorry. Or did they give you a hard time? Did they fight you? Was it difficult to get it fixed? That's the issue, not whether they die or not. They will fall apart. Hey, all right, now it's time for Robert in Anaheim. Hi, Robert. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm excellent. I tried to catch you last week, but the lines were just going crazy.
I think there's about 1 million people listening. If 1% of them call, the trunk will be jammed. So, it's just hard to get through. I appreciate your patience.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate your advice. So hopefully you can help me out. I'm sure you can. Been listening to you for a while. First time giving you a call.
Thanks.
My situation is I have a commercial property that I'm leasing on a month-to-month basis. And I converted it into my living space because I do I'm in a band, I do work on hot rods, all kinds of stuff that you can't do in an apartment. And living's pretty cheap this way. But
so it's kind of a loft arrangement.
Exactly.
Yeah, live-work. That's great. I've always wanted to have a live-work space. In fact, I've been thinking I could put an apartment in here somewhere. And I could live in my studio. I love it so much.
Exactly. You got your new ham radio.
I'm set.
I haven't done the ham thing, but I got my CBs and stuff, and those things are a blast.
It's fun, isn't it? It's fun.
Oh, yeah. I'll never stop playing with them. But so what I've done so far is I did sign up with AT&T, but they want, a 2-year contract. And I'm sure if I move somewhere, I can still, just transfer my service or whatever. Another thing is at the Orange County Fair, there was a product from Clear called the Puck.
The what?
The Puck with a P.
Yeah, you know what? You know what that is? That's 4G.
Yeah. Right.
Or actually, it's WiMAX, but that's what they call it, 4G. Yeah. It's wireless. And if you're in, I didn't know that they had that in Anaheim. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's Orange, Anaheim kind of area. So it does work here. It's kind of weak. It cuts in and out. And when I was up in L.A. area, I had no problem with it. Still a little bit slow, but I'm probably going to be turning that back in. And so right now, my solution that I'm probably going to stick with is the DSL from AT&T. Only other option I know of is Time Warner and, like the cable, which I think would probably be a lot faster than AT&T. But, again, everything, they want contracts. And I don't want to be limited that if I move in a year that, Time Warner only offers service in certain areas. And
somebody's telling me Time Warner uses Clear, so it would be the same as the Puck. Yeah, I think the contract's annoying, isn't it? And so you just want something month to month.
Yeah.
How important is speed to you?
I'd like to be able to stream videos, watch Netflix and stuff. But
yeah. See, I don't think 4G will be adequate for something like that. So I would say eliminate the wireless solutions, alas.
Okay.
Now, if you're leasing this out as a commercial property, they're going to want internet too, right?
Pardon me?
Won't your lessees, the other people using?
No, I'm actually I'm leasing it from. I'm a tenant actually.
Oh, you're the tenant. I get it. I thought I thought it was a property for you that you were leasing out to others. I get it. So yeah. There's no benefit to you to putting in any infrastructure. You're going to leave.
Yeah, I hope to be here for a while because it's a great place.
So just kind of in a general way, the difference between DSL and we got to take a break. Tell you what, local news is next. Robert, just listen. I'll answer off the air about the different kinds of internets and the pros and cons of each when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk tech. Computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, and all that jazz. You might hear a little burble behind me. We've got a little open house here in the brand new Tech Guy Labs, and we have a few hams visiting us because one of the nice features of the Tech Guy Labs is what we call Radio Corner, which is a pretty nice setup thanks to the folks at ICOM. Ray Novak, who's in charge of amateur radio for ICOM, brought us about the best state-of-the-art radios I've ever seen. The ICOM 7800, which is a beast, beautiful radio. The 9100, which is good for satellite communications. The 2820, which uses some of these the new digital techniques like D-Star. And we've got Bob Heil here, who's given me a bunch. I always use Heil mics for the radio stuff. I'm using one right now, my gold PR40, but he really got us started ham microphones, and he makes some beautiful ham radio microphones, so he's out here. And we have all those nice ham microphones from Heil Sound, and they've invited hams in the area to come by and use the gear, and it's fun. It's really fun. I am myself W6TWT. In fact, last night I passed my general, so I can use some of those high frequency radios now, which is kind of fun. We were talking before the break. We were talking about internet access and the different choices, and it boils down these days to 3 different ways you can get online from your home. You can have a copper solution into your home, you can have a fiber solution into your home, or you can have a wireless solution into your home. So let's talk about the merits of each. Now, one thing I got to say right up front is these are general rules of thumb, and a lot of it depends on how the company providing that access to you has implemented it. So you can't really say that, well, copper's better than fiber, fiber's better than copper, or cable's better than DSL, or wireless is better than either of them, because it really depends on the company. It's possible in any situation for a company to provide too little bandwidth for you and not be, you maybe not be able to use it, or have low bandwidth ceilings, caps, so that you could use it. You just can't use it too much, things like that. Or they're unreliable operations. So it would be a good idea, whatever technology you choose, that you ask your neighbors and friends and people who might be using that company in your area, not across the country, but in your area, how is this company? How's their uptime? How's their customer service? All of those things. It's very specific to your area. There are places you can go online to find out some of this information. There's a great site, broadbandreports.com, I highly recommend, where you'll have people rating ISPs. But another thing you should understand is that internet service providers, vary like humans, and they make mistakes. And often you'll see on these sites more negatives than they might deserve. People like to complain more than they like to praise, and so you should always read these ratings with that in mind. I usually take out the bottom 2 and the top 2 and look at the middle. But if there are enough ratings, if there are 10 or 15 or 20 reports about a company in your area, and you'll be able to get a pretty good general trend of how is that company, how's their customer service, how do they support it. So cable, fiber, or I should say copper, fiber, or wireless. Now, wireless is becoming more and more popular. We were talking about the Clear Wire solution, the Clear solution. That's a 4G solution using WiMAX. It tops out at a fairly low speed, especially if you've got a lot of people using it. The nice thing is a lot of people aren't using it yet. It's pretty new. It has the advantage of there's no wiring. If you get good reception, you'll get decent bandwidth. You'll probably get enough bandwidth to watch Netflix, one stream, or listen to music. But it can go below that. It's kind of wireless tends to be very inconsistent, so you may not get a consistent response. In fact, the most consistent is always going to be DSL. If you've got a decent DSL provider, you're going to get the same down and up all the time, night and day. Almost always. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Cable varies, because the way cable works is they put a certain amount of bandwidth to your neighborhood, and then you and your neighbors share it. If your neighbors all start watching Netflix at the same time, which my neighbors do, you might find the bandwidth goes way down at that time of the day. So that's a problem with cable. So cable and DSL both are copper. One uses the cable lines from your cable television. The other uses the phone lines from your phone company. Cable television lines tend to be faster. They're bigger pipe, and they can give you more bandwidth, but they're more inconsistent. DSL may be a little bit slower, but may be consistent. You may get that rated speed all the time. the cable might dip below that rated speed a lot. So that's something to keep in mind. Fiber is great if you can get it. Often more expensive. Verizon's been doing that a lot with their Fios system. That usually tends to be a lot faster. You're using Fios, Randy? No. Yeah, we all wish we had it. If you have it as an option and you can afford it, it's a great choice. Remember, though, whenever you're looking at speeds, you're looking at 2 speeds, not 1. And they'll always quote the highest, which is the download speed. You know, some of these cable companies are offering 20 or 30 or 50 or even more megabits per second download speed. That's going to be burst mode when you're talking about Comcast. They have this Comcast Blast feature, which is very fast at first and then slows down very quickly. Because they can't get, what you want to know is what is the sustained download speed over a period of time. And then the upload speed's important, and it's becoming more and more important as we start using things like Skype. Skype doesn't care about your download speed, it's your upload speed that matters. How fast is the upload? How fast can I send? If you're 128 kilobits, which is very common on some DSL installations, that's pretty slow for video and Skype. 384 kilobits is kind of the minimum if you want to use Skype video. So you ask them, what's the upload speed, what's the download speed, and what's the sustained download speed? Sometimes they won't tell you that. But that's what you want. And again, in most cases, DSL is the most consistent. Even though they'll quote you lower speeds, it's the most consistent. Cable can vary wildly. Fios is very similar in the way, in the infrastructure to DSL. So if they quote a Fios speed, 50 megabits, which is pretty common, that's the download speed. That's pretty good. And if you get 1 or 2 megabits up, man, you're golden. You're going to be very happy. So that's kind of my rundown. Which is best? Well, it really depends on your neighborhood. I have both DSL and cable into my house. Why? Because Comcast cable, right about 7 p.m. through 10 p.m. at night, got terrible in my neighborhood because I'm thinking because all my neighbors were watching Netflix. So I got the DSL so I could watch Netflix at night. It's slower. It's only 10 megabits down, but that's plenty for Netflix. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Bob is in Los Angeles, our next caller. Hi, Bob. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
I'm kind of a beginner. I'm pretty savvy when it comes to Macs, but I'm interested in learning web design and HTML5. And
oh, that's exciting.
I just wanted to maybe ask where I should start looking.
Yeah, I mean, if you had asked me a year ago, I want to learn HTML, I would say, oh, nobody's doing that. In fact, I think I have said that. Nobody's doing that anymore because most websites are what we call dynamic. You don't code them. You don't hand code them. In the old days, you'd use a program like Dreamweaver, and you'd kind of do all of the coding by hand, and you'd write the whole page by hand. That's what we call a static page. The problem with that is the content and the layout, the formatting are all intermingled, and it makes it very difficult to update the content. So we went to publishing systems where you do the layout in something called cascading style sheets, and then you do the content completely separately, and then your dynamic website software, a content management system, would merge the two. That made it much easier. Separate the content from the design. Now with HTML5, of course, that involves CSS. HTML5 is a combination of cascading style sheets, JavaScript, and new tags in HTML itself that allow us to do more like video and audio and so forth, and even scalable vector graphics, so you can have Flash-style graphics, even and animation, and things like that. I'm not sure really where the best place to start is. Let me think about that, Bob. Keep listening, and I'm going to talk with the chat room, and we'll come up with an answer for you. That's a good question. Where should you start if you wanted to do these new technologies? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Community college, good answer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Website techguylabs.com. And we're talking about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theaters, all that stuff. We were talking about HP going out of the PC business, WebOS going away, which is kind of sad. It was a great operating system. We hardly knew ye. Talked about Google buying Motorola. Talking about HP's touchpad for $99 if you don't mind having a tablet that nobody's going to support anymore. So our last caller asked a great question, which is, how do I get into the new HTML5 technology? And we came up with the chat room. Thank you, chat room. Great bunch of people. Came up with some good suggestions. Can't forget our sponsor, lynda.com. Has some great courses in modern web design. And that's lynda.com, Lynda with a Y. She does such a good job. It's funny, I've known Linda Wyman since she was writing books. She was a prolific author in the 90s of great books for people learning technologies. And she started making videos in the beginning of this decade and now has, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 videos. And it's not just Linda, by the way. She uses many of my friends, some of the best teachers in the business. I'm not sure I should see. Let's go to her web and interactive section. Let's see who she has teaching this stuff. Oh, yeah, oh, my goodness, there's good stuff here. CSS3, which is the new CSS for HTML5. She's got a CSS3 first look class with James Williamson. That would be excellent. Dreamweaver, of course. This is a whole bunch of classes on HTML5. HTML5 first look. HTML5, Bill Weinman doing drag and drop in depth, graphics and animation, Joe Marini. Wow. This is probably the place to go. Now, the way this works, you don't buy an individual course, you buy a subscription to all of the courses. So that's kind of nice. You could dip into anything. So that's lynda.com. I would recommend that. W3schools.com has been doing this for a long time in this area. They're not so much video, but certainly have some good courseware available in there. W3 Schools. So there's a couple of good places. And I always forget, and I want to make sure I mention, anytime you want to learn something, a great way to learn something is to do it iTunes U. It's something people, I think, don't really know about. But if you have iTunes on your system, you can go to iTunes U. It's in the iTunes store. They're free, though. This isn't something you have to pay for. And college courses in all different areas of computing are available on iTunes U. For instance, Stanford puts its iPhone programming course online every year. It's the best course in the world. And these are all free. You download them in iTunes. You can watch them on your computer or on your iPad or iPhone. Just fantastic. And actually, if you want to learn anything in any area, highly recommended. Highly recommended. So this is iTunes U, and that's I think all of these are free. And I'm sure they have some stuff on HTML5 and the new web technologies. Well worth learning. I think that if you wanted to get into the business, that would be great. And Dan Benjamin, my pal Dan Benjamin, at his 5x5 network, 5, the number 5, BY5.com, does a number of podcasts on modern web design. And I bet you that'd be a good place, kind of informally, just to keep up on what's going on. Actually, it's not 5x5.com. It's 5x5 dot something else. And yes, Linda does teach Fortran. That's what B. Wayne tells me. You know, you have to Google 5x5. I've got the site. I don't know what the site is. 5x5.tv. I should have known. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo is the number, and Alec is on the line from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Hey, how you doing, Alec? Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Very well. What can I do for you today?
Well, have you heard of those little Legos?
You mean the Mindstorms? Which Legos? The ones where you design robotics and things like that?
Just, you know, the little toy Legos.
Oh, regular Legos. Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, okay. Well, I do stop-motion animation with those.
What? That's fun. Do you use iStop Motion? What program do you use for that?
Unfortunately, I use Windows Live Movie Maker.
Hey, you're young. It's okay. You're paying your dues, kid. You find that a little trying, a little difficult?
I have a 1.2 megapixel webcam that I use.
That's all you need. Where can we see these? You put them on YouTube? What do you do with them?
Yeah, I put them on my YouTube channel.
What's your YouTube channel?
Smart Alec Films, ALEK for Alec, and, you know, play on words. My name's Alex, Smart Alec Films. Everybody gets it, yeah.
You're going to be the next Steven Spielberg, aren't you? That's great. What subjects do you cover? I mean, it looks like you're doing some kind of Star Wars or space drama here.
I did a little Star Wars Lego stuff, but I mainly just, I don't know.
And you're doing this, it looks like in high def, too, which is really cool.
Yeah, takes extra time. And
you're doing that with a webcam. You see, 1.2 megapixels sounds bad, and it is bad for a still camera, but for video, that's pretty good. That's
right.
That's high def, right?
Right.
Now, there's a couple of things I'd recommend. Maybe you can get a paper route and pay for some of these things. One is iStop Motion. You'll find it's a lot easier to do this stuff with.
Okay.
Do you know about that program from Blinks? I don't think it's very expensive. It might be Mac only, though. That might be the only drawback. Let's see. Yeah, it's Mac.
I'll have to look into that.
It's Mac, but unfortunately, I know you're on Windows. But this is designed to do exactly what you're doing. And they have some really interesting things like a tilt shift filter that gives you some really interesting results. So that's one thing. Now, if you want a better camera, which is what I gather you're here to find out.
Yeah, because the webcam, it works rather well, but I have two light, lamps shining on the
right
on the set, and the webcam doesn't correspond with the light as well as I wish it did.
Right. Well, you're smart because the more, even with a cheap camera, the more light you put there, the better it will work. But I can see, even in the films I'm looking at, that you're just not getting a crisp picture, as crisp a picture as you'd like.
Right.
Yeah. And I think a better camera will help. Now, you can use any camera, including, in fact, your best bet would be use a digital still camera, a point and shoot.
All right.
You put it on a tripod. You need to get a cable release so that you're not jiggling the camera. And then you can do it all without any software, any computer. You just take the pictures in the camera and then import it into your computer and turn it into video. So I'll give you some recommendations, but any expensive point and shoot will do a better job than this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Stream Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We're having a little open house here at the Tech Guy Labs. If you hear some people in the background, they're just wandering around. We got a bunch of hams visiting, playing with our ham gear and our AM radio transmitter and all of that stuff. This Tech Guy Labs is a playland for geeks. That's what it is. We love having them visit. It's a lot of fun. I've been talking to Alec, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He makes stop-action movies on his YouTube site. Smart Alec Films. So youtube.com/Smart Alec Films. You can see his videos. What a great... How did you get into this?
I don't know. I like playing with Legos when I was little, so I was, looking around on YouTube, and I saw videos like, Legos and stop-motion animation, and I figured, oh, that might be something fun to do. So
you know what's great is that you are going to be able to learn without having to deal with actors. They're so annoying, and lighting gaffers and grips. You're going to learn the basics of filmmaking. Shots, setups, master shots, intercutting, all of that stuff. And I see you're doing a good job of that. The close-up, and you're going to learn the vocabulary of filmmaking. I think for a lot of kids, this is an opportunity to teach yourself how to do storytelling, filmmaking, dialogue, write your own scripts, and even find an audience online thanks to YouTube, which makes it free to upload these. I think this is great. Looks like you use a photographic background. I think that's cool. It makes them look like they're in the forest. I love that.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing. I think this is so cool. So you do need a better camera. You know what you need is a camera you can focus. Because what's happening sometimes is that the focus isn't on the person. I'll give you an example. I'm looking at a frame right now, and the backdrop, the floor is in perfect focus, but not the person we're looking at, right?
Right.
So that's because your webcam has autofocus, kind of a cheap webcam has autofocus. It's hard to control. You can't convince it to focus on the guy. That's why a still camera might be the best thing to do. The one thing you'd want with a still camera is kind of a focus lock or a manual mode so that you could completely control it. You don't want it to automatically focus. That's the problem you're having right now with the webcam, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think an inexpensive, I mean $100 point-and-shoot camera, a Kodak, those are pretty inexpensive, would be better, and a still camera, than using a webcam.
Right. And that's why I, called you, because my stepdad and I have been looking into this, and we just...
That's great. I'm glad that your parents are supporting you, because you'll be supporting them in about 20 years. You can buy them the pink Cadillac and the mansion with your earnings from your movie career.
They're awesome about it. They love what I do, and they think it's really creative.
And that's really the secret. And I have a feeling that that's one of the reasons you're doing this and you're able to do this. Having the support of your parents makes a big difference. And I hope there are parents listening right now who, if your kids have some sort of inclination into this area, this is, boy, it couldn't be a better time to do this. Yeah, you may have to spend a few $100 on a computer or software or a camera, but boy, it's just, what a great hobby. My son, who's a little older than you, he's 17 now, he's really into computer music. So I made sure that he had some good software on there, and he's just going to town. He's just really having a great time. So you could go to the websites like dpreview.com or digitalcamerainfo.com and look at their camera comparisons. They'll tell you the features. They'll tell you the prices. The truth is, even a really inexpensive, point and shoot with 6 megapixels is going to do a better job as long as it has manual mode so that you can focus it manually. You're going to do a much better job for that. And I don't think it's going to cost you more than $100, $150 for something like that. Then what I would do is I'd take those pictures, don't forget, you got to get a cable release. So make sure it supports the ability to actually, it doesn't have to be a cable release. Another way to do it would be to use the timer. But you don't want to be squeezing the shutter yourself manually, because that'll jiggle the camera ever so slightly. You probably discovered yourself that's not a good thing to do. So you put it on a little Joby Gorilla Pod. You get a cable release for that thing. Then you could just press it, click, move the Lego, click, move the Lego, click. You'll be much more productive. And, boy, you'll get better images. They're using, for movies like The Fantastic Mr. Fox. You've seen that movie, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody wants to do stop motion, must see that movie. Wes Anderson's A Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think they did that with digital SLRs. Like the Canon 5D Mark II. They just take stills with an SLR. You don't need a movie camera because you're not really making movies. You're taking a lot of still shots. And then you don't even really need any software. You can just import that in, and almost any of the software will take a bunch of stills and turn it into a sequence. But it's nice to have the editing capability and things like that.
Right.
Alec, I think this is great. I'm so impressed with what you're doing. I want to encourage you to keep doing it, and I look forward. The thing to think about for you is just don't worry too much about the technology of it, unless you want to be a DP, a director of photography, when you grow up. I think you have the opportunity also to be a director or a screenwriter, because you're going to learn how to tell stories. You're going to learn how to think about the visual vocabulary that is film. And that what you're learning right now, that's so great. You could start entering contests soon and that kind of thing, too.
Right. And also what kind of got me into this was I'm a very creative kid, as a lot of people say. I think of different ways people could react with each other just in my head, and I just think about that throughout the day, even sometimes in school, which is, kind of distracting, but still.
I think that's great. If you've got that inclination, what's neat about this modern age that we live in, this digital technology age that we live in, is that you can fairly inexpensively create this stuff. The cost of creation has gone way down, and the capabilities have gone way up, whether it's music or film or photography. And even better, distribution is available to you. You know, if you wanted to be, if you were Steven Spielberg, you know, 40 years ago and using Super 8 and shooting this stuff, you'd have the film, but how would anybody see it? Now you've got the YouTube and the internet, and you could have the world see your stuff. So the better you make it, the more people are going to see it. I think it's just fantastic. I'm trying to figure out, I'm looking on the, trying to figure out what Wallace and Gromit use, because I bet you, I mean, that's a great animation. Short from Great Britain. I bet you they also use still cameras. The thing for you is, which would be great, is to have the technology get out of the way so that your art can come through. You know, we spend some time learning how to use the technology, mastering it, getting it set up right, but not with the aim of getting good at the technology. Well, some of us do, because I just love technology, but really with the aim of having it get out of the way so you can make your art. And I think that's why it's probably a good idea to get a simple production system and be able to you know, edit this all on your computer and shoot it as quickly as possible so you can make some great stuff. Alec, congratulations. Smart Alec Films on YouTube. Alec with a K. Sarman in Los Angeles, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Sarman.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I've been hearing you since Call for Help, so I've been a long time fan.
Started doing that show in 1998 on TV, on Tech TV, and then continued to do it for a while in Canada. Stopped doing it finally in 2005.
That's fine.
Yeah.
My question was that I have a late 2009 Mac Mini right now, and I have a dual monitor set up, and I want to set up a third monitor, but my only choices go through USB. What are your suggestions on what I can use?
Yeah, that's interesting. There are lots of USB monitors out right now, but most of them have drivers for Windows. So that's an interesting question. If he wants a third monitor on his Mac Mini, maybe the chat room can help me. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, anything you want to know about tech, I'm here to help you. And if you had a ham radio question, I think we could probably find one or two people who could answer ham radio questions as well. Man, there's a lot of people out there enjoying our AM radio corner, our ham corner. We're having a little bit of an open house today. So that's if you hear a little burble in the background. That's where that burble's coming from. So we were talking about getting a USB monitor to work on Sarman's Mac Mini. You know, the nice thing about the Mac Mini, I mean, here this is a little, you know, box Apple sells for $700, and it has a little mini display port on it. And frankly, the fact that you can get two monitors on that thing, just as is pretty cool. I don't know if there, you know, is that STN Max says there's something from Matrox. Matrox makes solutions like this for PCs. Let me look at this solution, see if it will work on the Mac. They have a number of, in fact, that's what happened to Matrox. If you remember that name from the good old days, they were a very, very successful video card company that kind of got left in the dust by ATI and NVIDIA. And they started getting into kind of specialty video products like this triple head to go, which is a multi-display adapter that allows you to add via USB, up to three monitors to your notebook or desktop. But you see, I'm looking at this, and it doesn't specifically say it's for a Mac. And see, this is the problem. There's lots of ways to do this. The Matrox solution is good. Is it your experience that this will work on the Mac? Because that's the issue. Well, many DisplayPort. It does support DisplayPort. Maybe it would. Matrox.com. And this is their USB device. Now, you might ask, well, USB? How well could that work? Well, they actually work pretty well. You get pretty, I mean, probably frame rate on gaming wouldn't be ideal. But I presume it's not gaming that you want to do with this. Yeah, it does work with the Mac. That's what the chat room is telling me. Their GXM system, they call it. And they have a Mac OS compatibility tool. So if you go to Matrox.com or just search for Matrox GXM system compatibility, they'll tell you which systems it'll work with, and it'll even work with the MacBook Air. That's pretty cool. And it'll tell you how many monitors you can do and all of that. They've actually looks like they've done a pretty nice job. I'm looking at my MacBook Air. Let's see a Mac Mini here. Okay, Mac Mini mid-2010. You can get up to 3 displays off of that thing. The Mac Mini 2009, yeah, 3 displays. So there you go. I guess that's the solution. Thank you. Chat room to the rescue. Using their graphics expansion modules. That's what GXM stands for. Next call is Norm in La Costa, California. Hi, Norm. Do I have a commercial, Alex, for this break?
Carbonite consumer.
I do. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But let me get to Norm first. Hey, Norm, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. First-time caller.
Well, it's about time. I'm glad you found us.
For years, even when you're on a satellite, I listened to you and watched you then. Anyhow, with my wife's computer, she has Hotmail, and in the process of forwarding the email, when you hit forward, the screen goes to a blank screen, goes white.
That's not right.
No, I know it. And it works fine. I have 4 computers in the house. It works fine on all the other ones. And I ran a couple of cleanup programs to try and help it, and it didn't work.
It's temporary, right? I mean, it goes blank briefly.
I'm sorry?
Is it temporary? It just goes blank briefly. It doesn't go blank permanently, does it?
Well, yes, it does. Nothing comes in. It just goes a white screen, and you see the up in the top where all the characters are in the browser there. You see it there, but nothing ever comes in on the screen. It's like it's stopped. I don't know the description other than.
Yeah, I'm trying to visualize what you're describing here.
Yeah.
So I can understand. So you're in a browser, Internet Explorer, I presume. Are you using a late model version of Internet Explorer? Are you using IE 8 or IE 9, or are you still back in an old one?
Yes. I think 8.
Okay, that would be the first question. XP or Windows Vista or Windows 7? What version of Windows are you using?
XP.
XP. All right. So I'm just going to press the forward button on here and just see what happens. So I'm looking at Hotmail, and I press the forward button. Oh, let's see. Please select an item. Yeah. Forward. And then please make sure you trust this unknown sender, blah, 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 blah. And it should just open up. Now, this happens with every message? I mean,
everyone.
Everyone. And does the browser go away?
No, it doesn't.
The browser's still there, just the rest of the screen goes white.
So, yeah, blank. You can see the favorites. I leave that open, and you can see all the characters.
Can you close the browser, or are you just kind of stuck here?
I'm sorry?
Can you close the browser, or are you just stuck there? Do you know what I'm saying?
I can see the character stream up in the browser up there where it would want to go to. And if I push go, let's see, I'm at the computer right now doing it.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to understand. You see, I'm having trouble with the nomenclature here. I don't really understand what's going on. Can you close the browser? Do you know what I mean? Can you put it away? Can you close that window?
Yes.
Yes. And then is everything normal after that?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just the browser window has gone blank.
Well, yeah, the screen, the display, the whole display there's nothing there but
the display within the window.
Within the window, correct.
So the browser window has gone blank.
Correct.
Yeah. But if you close the browser window, the computer continues to operate normally.
Yes.
So it's something wrong with the browser, right? So a couple of things you could try. My suggestion is if you're doing IE8, it's probably asked you a couple of times to go to IE9. I would say, okay, can't get any worse. You might try clearing your cache. You also could try another browser. For instance, Google offers a free browser that I really like. I use all the time. I don't use Internet Explorer much. It's called Chrome, and it's fast. It's secure. It's nicely done, and that's from google.com/Chrome, C-H-R-O-M-E. See how that works for you. Firefox also might be a good choice for you. Something's wrong with Internet Explorer 8. That's all. It's not a bad thing. It could just be the oh, you don't have IE9 and XP. Yeah. So well, try Chrome or try Firefox. I forgot they don't let you update to IE9 on XP, do they? I'm trying to think of what else. What else could cause that? It's just, there's something in the cache or something wrong with the browser. I would clear the cache, that kind of thing. Another suggestion, and it's a good one from the chat room, is don't use the browser to get your Hotmail. Use Windows Live Mail. But can he get live on XP? I can't remember. Try this, go to get.live.com and see if you can get Windows Live Mail. That's a mail program that will get Hotmail for you. Yeah, you can. Okay. That mail program will get Hotmail for you. You find it's a much better experience in the browser anyway. And I don't think you'll have this same problem. So try those things, Norm, see if that helps. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, all that digital jazz. And you know what? We could talk about analog, too, now that I'm a ham. That's all about, well, it's actually interesting. We've been talking about ham radio a little bit. I'm having an open house right now at the Tech Guy Labs for local hams who have come by, actually from as far away as, I think 500 miles have come up to visit our little ham shack here with all the beautiful ICOM radios and the AM Collins transmitter that we've got in here and all sorts of stuff. But what's interesting is it isn't just analog anymore. There's a lot of digital technology going on in the ham radio sphere, including connections to the internet, using the internet to make long hops and then rebroadcasting or retransmitting from a ham station somewhere far away. There's some very cool stuff going on. So I can't answer many questions, but I'm sure there's somebody here who can. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. And, of course, the best resource, as usual, for anything having to do with this stuff is our great chat room. There are 1,000 people, give or take a few, give or take half a dozen in there right now. 994 people in there. And you could be in there, too, if you would like, but just go to techguylabs.com and click the chat link. There's also a link to the video. And many other things, including all the show information. TechGuyLabs.com. James Deruvo, our Tech Guy Wizard, is taking notes as I talk. And so everything I mentioned, all the links will all be there. You don't have to write anything down. TechGuyLabs.com. Hello, chat room. I think of them as my brains externalized. A lot of times they're really smarter than I am. If I have a question, they just answer. There's Dr. Mom and Eric Tech Blog and iPad Tech Guy and Gouchum. Skippy. You got to come up with a good name, apparently, if you're going to be. I just use Leo. Not very original, is it? Steve is in San Bernardino, our next caller. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
Thank you very much. First-time caller, but a long-time listener.
Well, I'm glad you found it, and I hope you'll come back.
Well, I will. I will. This time, I hope you can help. We've got a church a very small church, and we want to, just like you're on Ustream, put the services live. And what we have found is the only options we've got for cameras are cameras like Alec was using, the regular webcam,
right,
or something that was professional. Is there anything in between?
Oh, yeah. In fact, this whole studio, this whole big studio that I'm broadcasting from now, almost 24 hours a day, one of the ways that I save money, on doing all the shows that I do is by having lots of cameras, not camera operators. Please, if you're a camera operator, I apologize, but they're expensive, having somebody stand behind a camera and aim it. So we have 30 cameras in this studio to do all of our shows. But here's the deal. I just use camcorders. These are Canon Vixia HFG10 camcorders, consumer-grade camcorders. But nowadays, a consumer-grade camcorder is so good that it's better than broadcast quality. And remember, you don't have to have it be that good because you're going to be going to the Internet.
Right.
So if you're content with a single camera, you don't have to... the simplest thing to do would be get a relatively inexpensive camcorder and hook that up. Now, getting into the computer is a little bit tricky.
Well, I got it into the computer, but the problem was all the camcorders that I found did not stream video. They recorded it, but they didn't stream it.
Right. So you have to have a camcorder, and you're right, not all of them do it. But there many do that allow you to take live video right out of the camera. The ones we're using, now these are $1,500. They're probably more than your budget. They're very good. Reason we bought them is they have relatively, for a camcorder, for a consumer-grade camcorder, relatively large chip, which means the bigger the chip, the better the light sensitivity, the better the quality of the image. These Vixia HFG10s are live out the HDMI port. So what we do is we have an HDMI cable coming out of these cameras are shooting. If you look at the stream right now, if you go to live.twit.tv, you'll see it on Ustream. And boy, is it good quality. It's HD quality almost. It is HD in the studio. I mean, these are shooting 1080i. We then take a converter that takes the HDMI and converts it into a format we can use. In our case, SDI. That's a professional grade format that you will not probably be using. You want to convert it to FireWire.
Right, exactly.
And I don't think you need to get a $1,500 one, but what you do need to do, and you probably can go to camcorderinfo.com to figure out which one you need. Okay. But you need to find one that has live video out either the SDMI port or the component port or the composite port or the S-video port, one of them.
Okay.
And there are a lot of cameras that do that. It was actually a revelation when we found out. My friend Alex Lindsay, who does a lot of video, I remember a year ago, came running in and said, these cameras the ports are live. You don't have to tape. You just plug in a cable and you can use them like a professional camera and shoot video. And the amazing thing is, in order to put it on tape, these cameras compress it. But what's coming out of the HDMI port is actually better quality than they're putting on the tape or the memory card. It's not nearly as compressed. I think it's 422. It's very high quality. So the good news is you're going to get great quality out of there. I think there's a camcorder in the $600 range that'll do that. You just have to figure out which one it is.
Okay.
And the other tip is don't put a tape in there, because if you do put a tape in it, after a while it'll time out. It'll think, he doesn't want. Yep. So just take the tape out, and then it just It just does forever. You plug it into your computer. Ustream has that great Ustream producer program. Really makes it easy. Just stream it out to Ustream. And, the truth is, if you're just capturing a service at the church, that's probably all you need. One camera, right on the preacher.
Webcam at first, and then I actually had an old Sony, like high 8, and not putting a tape in it, I was able to get it out,
right.
The composite.
Right.
It's okay, but I figured you'd have a better idea.
Yeah, I just can't. I mean, I can tell you which camera I use that does it. Yeah. Even surprisingly, we found some of those inexpensive Samsung handy cams that recorded flash. Some of the surprisingly inexpensive, like the flip cam style cameras, actually have live video out as well. So the trick is to figure out which do. And yep. I don't know if there's a resource or a page somewhere that says it, because it's kind of an unusual use. But I know that if you go to camcorderinfo.com, they have spec sheets for all the cameras. And I seem to remember one of those specs is live video out the HDMI port. That's what you want to find.
All right. Well, I probably haven't answered the next question, but if I wanted to switch them the way you're switching them, I'm sure you're doing something professional.
Let me tell you that. That's a whole other story. By the way, James in the chat room, see, they're smart. VA3PX tells me that the Canon ELPH, which is a digital still camera, the 100 ES,
yep.
will do an live HDMI video out. that's nice and compact, $200.
Okay.
And that would be very good quality. That would be better quality than Ustream needs, frankly. Now, as I said, one camera easy, two camera hard. It gets three camera impossible. No, it gets harder because now you need a switcher. And there are lots of software switchers out there. VidBlaster is a great choice. We actually use that. So I recommend that. I think that's $400. Boinx makes a program, boinx.com. There are a number of good choices out there. In fact, I'm thinking that the Ustream producer will switch cameras. The issue is getting the cameras into the computer, and you might need FireWire cards or something like that. Wirecast, actually. Yeah, that's the one I recommend. Jody Max, you're right, in our chat room. And in fact, the Ustream producer is a Ustream branded version of Wirecast.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Hey, thanks. Good luck. I think this is, so many churches are doing it. It's great. Even a small church, for members who can't get to church that day, they can watch it on live. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. If you've got a question or a comment, you want to talk high tech, we're talking about the end of HP's PC business. What a shocker that is. Wow. Out of the, this is like the #1 manufacturer of Windows computers, and they're out of the business. They couldn't make money at it. And then, of course, they've orphaned the tablet that they made on WebOS, and that's kind of sad. But you can buy it. Yeah, Lee in Denmark saying, what? Have I missed something? Newsflash? Yeah, no, this was a big week as far as technology goes. They announced that they were going to get out of the PC business and out of the WebOS business. That's that tablet, that touchpad that they were making. And you can get touchpads right now for $99. They're clearing them out. As long as you understand that you won't be able to get any software. They're never going to update the operating system. It's kind of the end of the line. Actually, it might not be, because I don't think HP will necessarily dig a hole and throw WebOS into it and pile the dirt on top. They may well find a buyer. They may well open source it. I'd love to see them do that, to just give the source code to the community and say, it's yours. Go ahead and develop it. That would be fantastic. Then you would be happy you bought that $99 touchpad, because there'd be a bright future for it. The problem is it's just unknown. We don't know what's going to happen to it. You might hear a little burble behind me. We've got a bunch of hams in the studio in the Tech Guy Labs today. We're having an open house in a ham station broadcasting. I want to thank Ray Novak from the ICOM company. They make so many great radios, and he brought 3 of his best, the 7800, the 9100, and the 2820. And the hams are having so much fun on the high-frequency bands on that 7800. But then they're also playing a little bit with D-Star, which is a digital technology. And I understand they've been talking to Huntsville, Alabama, and all over on the D-Star using the 2820. So that's really cool. As soon as the show's over, I'm going to get on the radio a little bit. So listen for W6TWT, Whiskey 6 Tango, Whiskey Tango. That'll be me. Actually, I'll be Stroke AG. Whiskey 6 Tango, Whiskey Tango, slant AG. Listen for me. Dan in Southern California, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dan.
Good afternoon, Leo. Congratulations on your general ticket, sir.
I'm so proud of myself. I took that test. But, I feel a little funny about it. Anybody who's interested in ham radio and amateur radio, and I highly encourage people to do it. It's easy. It's an easy hobby to start, but it's an endless treasure chest of fun and interesting things and people. You just never get to the bottom of it. And you start by taking the technician exam, which is pretty easy. And you get your little handy talkie, your UHF, VHF radio, and it's fun and it's easy to get into, and then you get deeper and deeper. Then you take the next step up, which is the general, and the next step after that, which is the extra, and then you start learning Morse code. And by the time you're through, you're a full-fledged ham. But I feel like I cheated a little bit. I have these great study materials from Gordon West. He does such a nice job, and I took my technician last month, took my general this month, and it just, it was pretty easy to do. Now I have to actually spend some time on the radio. I haven't only used it once. I haven't had time. See, I have this other thing on the radio that I do. So I take it you're a ham, Dan. What's your call sign?
Whiskey 3, Romeo X-Ray Oscar.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
Anyway, Leo, I'm calling because I have a problem, I think, with my Mac. Recently, I started getting a little bit concerned about security ports and so on. I was not aware about the ESET cybersecurity. I did a very short search, found a product called Mac Keeper, and bought it, downloaded it, put it in, and then I started hearing from you about the ESET cybersecurity. Went to their website, thought, I'll give it the 30-day free trial. I downloaded it, and it would not load on my computer. The reason it wouldn't load, it said that I had to remove any other.
Right. This is the case. It's funny. We Mac users haven't had to worry about this, and so we're relearning the stuff that Windows users have known for years. One of which is you can only have one antivirus on a computer at a time, and part of the reason for that is they'll fight. You put on ESET, and it's going to see, for instance, it'll see the virus database from MacKeeper and say, I see a virus. That's not a virus. It's the virus database. Or it says, hey, something called MacKeeper is trying to modify critical system files. They fight each other. So in general, you only want one antivirus on a computer at a time. That's Windows or Mac. Yeah.
Now, my question for you is, because I trust you and I trust your sponsors, had I known about cybersecurity, that would have been my choice. But did I do the wrong thing downloading this MacKeeper, or is this a valid, actual good program? I've heard some rumors that it might be some kind of undercover malware type of thing, and I'd really like to get your opinion on it before I go any further and potentially dump it in favor of the ESET, or should I give it a try for a while? What should I do?
Well, one thing that you should know of is that viruses and Trojans and bad guys often pose as security software. So MacKeeper's fine. This is a legitimate company. It's a legitimate antivirus. Nothing to worry about. But doesn't mean there isn't a virus out there. I don't think there is, but there isn't a virus out there called MacKeeper. Remember the Mac Defender, which sounds like an antivirus, was the first nasty virus to really bite the Macintosh platform just a few months ago. So if you've heard bad things about MacKeeper, it's possible that what you're hearing is bad things about a virus of the same name. I don't think so, though. No, MacKeeper's fine. I wouldn't recommend against any, there are a number of companies that make antiviruses for the Mac, and Tigo's been doing it for a long time. There's open source stuff. Clam AV is open source. The truth is, we're not yet in a situation on the Mac platform where it's ultra critical to get the very best. Any protection is probably good enough. There's only, right now, as far as I know, there's only 2 or 3 viruses out there in the wild on the Mac platform. So, any even halfway decent antivirus company can keep up with that. It's when you've got a few thousand new ones a day that you need to get the best, and that's on the Windows side. We may get there on the Mac. It's funny. What's interesting is, and this debate raged on, and I had an opinion on it. The question was, is the Mac inherently more secure? Is that why we aren't seeing viruses, or are we not seeing viruses because the bad guys just don't want to waste their time on such a small market share? And it turns out it's the latter, that there are plenty of holes on the Mac platform. Actually, it's a little bit of both, because I do think that OS X is designed a little bit more with security in mind than Windows was. But what's happened is that because of all the attacks on Windows, Microsoft's been very good about patching Windows. Windows is now, I think, very secure. And even more importantly, about 80% of all Windows users have antivirus software and are paying attention and are, blocking viruses. So viruses don't spread like they used to. It's not as easy as they used to. In fact, you've seen that malware authors have gotten very tricky in order to get their stuff on Windows machines. They can't just, email an attachment to 1 million people and expect to get on the machine. So because so many Windows users are protected, only about 20% of Windows machines are vulnerable. That's about the same as Apple's market share. The seesaw's tipping, isn't it? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Phone number, 8888. Ask Leo. Jules, Torrance, California. You're next. Leo Laporte here. Hi, Jules.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine. Are you liking the new TWiT mansion?
Yeah, mansion's the right word. 10,000 square feet of fun. I think of it as kind of almost a Disneyland for geeks.
Oh, you fit right in then.
Yes, I do. I do. We're really happy. We're having a little open house now for ham radio operators in the area, and our big grand opening party is tomorrow night, and it's exciting. We've been in it for a month now, and we didn't want to have a party until we worked out all the kinks. And I can't say we've worked all of them out, but I certainly have got most of them worked out. So, yeah, we're pretty happy. I was just talking to a radio station engineer from the Bay Area, and I said, this is the nicest radio station I've ever worked in, that's for sure. Well, what can I do for you, Jules?
All right. I need you to settle an argument between my husband and my kids.
Well, you're right, of course.
Well, I said that too. But anyways, he wants to hear from you.
Okay.
We're thinking of getting a new MacBook Pro, the 15-inch. We're going to get all the default items that you can check, but we're having issues with the hard drive. He wants to get, they have a 750 gigabyte serial drive at 54 RPM. He wants to get that because we take a lot of photos, and we're going to load them onto the Mac, and probably some of them will be in the RAW, so we need a lot of storage space. But my kids want the 500 gigabyte one that runs faster because they have games that they like to play.
It won't make that much difference. The other reason to get a slower drive in a laptop is for heat and power consideration. But I'm curious as to why you're getting a laptop. Is this going to be a portable computer?
Yes.
Okay.
We already have a couple, and one of our MacBooks, the screen spontaneously.
Yeah. So you already are used to having a laptop. I just wanted to make sure that you know, sometimes people buy laptops in lieu of a desktop, and the iMacs, if the computer is not moving around a lot, are really probably a better choice for that. But if you know you want portability, you need it to move around. Yeah, the MacBook is great. 15-inch screen is nice. Here's the compromise I would suggest, Jules. Get the faster, smaller hard drive for your kids, because it will make some difference. Truth is, when I buy a laptop these days, I don't buy a spinning hard drive. It's more expensive, but all my hard drives are smaller, solid-state drives because it makes a huge difference in terms of speed of booting. Gets down to about 15 seconds. Launching programs, less than a bounce, less than a second. And so it really just feels speedy. I first did it by, after the fact, modifying my MacBook Pro. I then got it on a MacBook Air, and now my iMac, which I use here in the studio, as a solid-state boot drive and then a regular spinning internal drive for data. But here's a recommendation. But that's a fairly expensive solution. You may not want to do that. Here's my... Yeah. I would go with a 7200. It will make some difference. And then I don't actually put my pictures on the laptop. I use an external drive, and I recommend you get 2 terabyte external drives. Not 1, but 2. And here's why. When you get back with your camera and your pictures, you move the data off the camera memory onto one of the external drives. You then what program do you use to look at your pictures?
I'm using one. I'm getting into Photoshop.
Great,
elements.
Great.
Here's another question, too. We wanted to go with Carbonite. And
Carbonite will not back those up. Let me finish it, and then I'll talk about that, because I don't want to get too digressed here. So my idea is that, and this is the way I handle my photos, especially when I'm on the road with a laptop. I don't keep them on the laptop. I keep them on that terabyte drive. I use Lightroom, but Photoshop Elements with the Album program is very similar. You'll import them in. Now, what you do is you tell Album, don't take them off that external drive and put them on the internal drive. Just leave them on the external drive. You can build the catalog on the internal drive, though. That way you always know where the pictures are, because the catalog will say, oh, that's on that drive, or that's on that drive. So you have an external drive with the originals. You have a catalog on the laptop so you don't use too much of its hard drive space. That's the photos you're working with. And then I have a 2 terabyte drive. And before I go to bed that night, and this is especially when I travel, I synchronize portable drive 1 to portable drive 2 to make a backup. Now I have 2 copies of the photos and the catalog on the disk. You're right. Carbonite will only back up the internal stuff on the internal drive. So that is kind of a disadvantage. I have to say the other disadvantage if you're using raw files is Carbonite's using your upstream bandwidth. Sometimes those giant files take so long to back up, it's not practicable.
Okay.
So if you have terabytes of data, even if it's on your internal drive, it's going to take a long time for Carbonite to back that up because it can't go any faster than your upstream bandwidth. For most people, that's going to take a while. So I really stick with Carbonite with the smaller files, the documents, the email perhaps. If you've got important photos, keep sure, indeed, 100 gigabytes of photos on your internal drive. Be easy to back up. Those are the important ones. Maybe that's what you do is you have these 2 external drives as like kind of your repository, but something you really care about, the ones you pick and say these are the best shots, the one in 10 or 20 that are the best shots, you can keep those on your hard drive. You'll have plenty of room for those, and Carbonite can back those up. You don't want to back up all of those bad shots anyway.
Right. Now I've also been using iPhoto.
So that's maybe what you do is you work in Adobe Photoshop Express, and when you get the 12 photos from that day, because look, sometimes I'll take 500 photos in a day. You don't want to keep all 500. There's 12 great shots in there, right? Keep those shots in iPhoto and have Carbonite back those up. But now you've still got you're not giving up anything because you've got the originals on the external drives. And you might, if you've got 2 drives, then take one to work and swap them periodically. That way one's off-site.
Okay.
That's my recommendation. So go with those. So you know what? The kids won this one, Jules. Let them have that faster hard drive. Don't keep everything on the internal drive. Use external drives as the work drives. They're inexpensive now. You can go to a big box store for $100, get a 2 terabyte drive. Get 2 of them, one on each side of the computer, and that way even as you travel, I have 2 copies of every photo. And I keep one in one suitcase and one in my carry-on. So if they lose the suitcases, I got the carry-on. That's really a good solution. Then when you get home and you've picked your favorite photos, you can upload those to Flickr. You can have them backed up to Carbonite. That way you'll never lose those great classic shots. You don't care about the out-of-focus ones.
Or I could put them on the HB tablet that we're going to go out and get now.
For $99. All right, Jules. Hey, it's great to talk to you. I love it that this family's having this conversation at all. It's great. Mom, we want a faster hard drive for the games. The truth is, most of the time, the only difference the speed of the hard drive makes is when you're loading the game in or you're going from one part of the game to the other. While you're playing the game, it's not hitting the hard drive. So the game will play just as fast. They're just impatient. They don't want to go from one level to the other in 20 seconds. They want to do it in 10. That's all. They're just impatient. Bob, Oceanside, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling. What can I do for you today?
Well, my wife and I, we need new phones. We're being forced to start texting.
Who's forcing you to text?
Well, we got important family members that don't return voicemails.
Why should they? There's text.
If ever. But if I text them, I get a response in minutes, if not seconds.
Yeah. No, you know what? Texting's the future. I'll help you buy that phone, but we got to take a break. Can you hang on?
I can.
All right, Bob. Thanks for your patience. I appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls and the GizWiz coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. We were talking before the break with, I think it was, Bob in Oceanside. He needs a new phone that will text.
Yes, I need a text-friendly phone. The main problem is I don't need a smartphone. The wife and I, we're both around computers enough to where it really...
there's a whole new primitive movement that just wants dumb phones.
Dumb phones that has good texting qualities, good voice qualities.
The problem is that a dumb phone, the texting is going to be from the numeric keypad.
Yeah.
That means if you want to type X, you got to go to the W key and tap it twice.
Yeah, and I don't like that.
Yeah, no kidding. So I don't know of any dumb phones that have keyboards on them. That's what you need. Maybe the LG Envy or something like that.
Well, there's like the Octane, LG Octane, the LG Cosmos Touch.
Okay, so they are coming up.
Intensity. But the thing is that none of them get good reviews.
Do you have Verizon?
Yes.
They're not going to want to sell it to you. But ask them for a Microsoft Kin.
Microsoft Kin.
Microsoft made this kind of intermediate. It's not a smartphone, but it's smarter than a dumb phone and has a real keyboard on it. They're very cheap, and there's no data plan associated with this, which is the main problem with a smartphone, is that $30 a month.
Right.
And if you get the Kin, the reason Verizon guy will say, no, you don't want that, is because they don't make as much money and because Microsoft doesn't make them anymore. But that's fine. It works. It's a phone.
Yeah.
I think the Kin is a perfect solution. It's kind of an intermediate solution.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
All right. I've recommended this a couple of times. Teenagers love them because they like to text. It's a good text solution. And you don't have to pay that $30 a month or $40 a month data fee, which I think makes it very desirable. And there are a couple of really good-looking Kins. The Kin 2 is really great. Wade is in Alberta, Canada. Hey, Wade, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey.
I hope you can hear me okay.
I hear you beautifully.
Oh, perfect.
Why wouldn't I? Because you're in Canada?
Well, yeah, I'm a long ways away.
Are you on Skype?
No, I'm on a Motorola flip phone.
Excellent.
Which is why I wanted to call you.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe you could give that to the other guy. Bob might be able to use that.
This is getting to be an old phone.
Yeah.
I keep getting notices saying you can get a new phone for free, but you got to sign a 3-year contract, and I'm worried about losing any data that I might have on my phone now.
By the way, folks in the U.S., listen, here in the U.S., it's 2 years, 3 years in Canada they get you for. 3 years for the phone. That's ridiculous.
3-year contract.
So here's the good news. If you take it to a phone store, and I recommend it's always good to go to an independent phone store, not the company store, because what's your phone, Rogers? TELUS?
No, it's TELUS. Yeah.
TELUS. So if you go to a TELUS company store, they'll they're a little bit more proper. They stick to the rules. But if you go to a store that sells all of them, Rogers, TELUS, whatever, they'll copy the data off of that phone onto your new phone. Actually, the TELUS store would do it too. They just plug in a machine. It gets all the phone numbers off of there. Now, here's the beauty of it. Once you put it on the smartphone, you're going to sync that up with Google Contacts, Google Calendar, and everything. And then you never have to pull it off a phone again. Any phone you get, every time you get a new phone, you just log in, and there's all your data, just copies it down. It's so nice. So this is the last time you'll ever have to get those numbers off the phone.
Yeah, but what about connections and contacts? Not necessarily contacts, but if you've got connections already in your phone.
Yeah, they pull it out of the phone. They have a machine. They plug into the connector that takes all of that out of the phone and puts it into the new phone.
Oh, it's not going to lose anything then?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
How much data do you have in there?
Well, not a lot.
I wouldn't think so. It's just a flip phone. But yeah, although I know, in the old days, you get a new phone, you had to manually re-enter all those numbers. It was such a pain. But now they have boxes that they plug them into the phone, the power connector on the phone, and they can copy all that stuff off. So just go to the phone store and say, I want to save all my numbers. Will you do that? And if they won't, go to another one.
Okay.
But they absolutely will. You don't have to worry about that one bit, Wade.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. It's nice to have listeners in the great white north, up above the 49th parallel. Fred is in Whittier, California. I think our last call of the day. Hey, Fred, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Great job as usual.
Thank you. It's great to have you. What can I do for you?
Hey, I'll try to make this as succinct as I can. With Google Earth Maps, along with Bing Maps and just the regular Google Maps, when you bring up a bird's eye view of photograph in the system, when you go to print it, they always revert it revert it to a overhead view. Is there a way of capturing the original image on the screen in the bird's eye view?
I've never tried that. So you're saying that when you go, there are plenty of sites you can do this. Panoramio is one. They'll show a Google map, and you'll see locations, and there'll be photos stored there, right, associated with that location.
No. When you bring up a map of any location, it has two options. One, you can bring up a regular street map.
Oh, you're talking about the satellite view.
Exactly.
Got it.
So, for instance, in Bing, they've got what's called a bird's eye view.
Yeah. Oh, Bing's got that great bird's eye view. I love that. Yeah.
But when you go to print it...
Oh, I see. It reverts. You can't you can't print the bird's eye view.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I would think one way to do that it would do a screen capture of the window.
Yeah, but I've done that, and it doesn't produce a good enough quality.
Right. You're not getting the full resolution that's in the map.
Right.
I don't think there's I don't know. Is there a way around it? I think the screenshot is it, because it's obvious that what's happening with Bing as you come from the bird's eye view is that they say, oh, he wants to snap this. We're gonna revert to the old flat view. So as I zoom in, I'm zooming in on this map. It's kind of neat. It's kind of giving me an angle like I'm looking at it like a bird instead of like a satellite.
Exactly.
The truth is, it's all done in perspective, forced perspective. It's the same image. So what they do is they take the satellite map, the top-down map, and they distort it to make it, believe it or not, to make it look like you're looking at it from the side. Both of these guys do it. So the reason when you take a picture of it, you're just getting the original, not the distorted version. I think you just have to use the screenshot capability, whether the Windows 7 snipping tool, or I use Sketch on the Mac, and you're just going to capture it, and it'll give you what you see on the screen in no higher resolution. The truth is there isn't really that bird's eye view. That's just a clever technique that both Google and Bing use to make it look like you're looking at it from an angle.
Right. So when I use the print screen, then where do I paste that to in order to get my image?
Are you using Windows 7? Just use the snipping tool. You'll find it in the menu, or just, if you click Start and you type SNIPPING, you'll see it in the menu item. It'll turn it on. It gives you little scissors. You clip it, and then there are settings for it, whether it'll save it on the desktop or what. You usually just saves it on the desktop as an image.
I see.
And you can open it without any graphics app. And yeah, the resolution you're getting is, unfortunately, the best you're going to get. Hey, thanks for the call, Fred, and thanks for listening. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week.